might want to start thinking about what you want on your headstone, Ants.
Christ. Damn hamster.
There you go.
Stand still, Spider Boy. That's right.
Eric Buarque has spent years in the trenches of Hollywood's biggest action films, stepping into the shoes of Bruce Willis as a stand-in and photo double. His big break came in Live Free or Die Hard, and from there, he became a trusted presence on the set, doubling for Bruce Willis in Once Upon a Time in Venice, Deadlock, Death Wish, and much more. Mr. Eric, how are you?
Good, brother. How you been, man? Long time no see.
I've been trying to get you on here for some time, and finally timing has worked out. It's great to have you on the show. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the viewers, who you are, what you're about, and your history, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, man. Again, I appreciate you having me on the show. The name is Eric Buarque, and had the opportunity to work with Bruce Willis, 13 films and 20 commercials. So
that's impressive.
Had a good run with him. Yeah. Anyway, I've got a journey that stretches all the way back to about 1998, 99. Not all with Bruce Willis. Took me about 6 or 7 years to actually finally land a role, as his stand-in photo double. It was setting me up all that time it took me to get in with him, kind of preparing me for that opportunity to work with him.
So how did you get started in the business, and how did you say to yourself, well, maybe I should follow this Bruce Willis thing?
Well, for me, like I said, it started probably about 98, 99. Actually, let me back up. The first Die Hard. So when that came out, that's when I started hearing, or people would come up to me and just kind of make comments, man, to me, like, dude, you know who you look like, right? And I'm like, no, who? And so that's how, people started telling me I resemble Bruce Willis. And the more I started looking at him and looking in the mirror, I started kind of seeing maybe there is something to this. And at first, I really didn't see it. But the more I started paying attention to him and his look, and then kind of looking in the mirror, like maybe they're on to something here. So, I was a big fan of Bruce, especially after the first Die Hard film. Not so much, I didn't really pay much attention to him in Moonlighting. I became a fan after the first Die Hard. The more I started thinking about it, like, man, maybe there is something to this, and maybe I could, maybe I can get an opportunity to work with him. But, it's just not that easy. So it took me about 6 years to grinding and pursuing it to finally get my big break with him.
So how did you start? So you decided, you know what, I'm gonna go to Hollywood. I'm gonna double for Bruce Willis. What was your first steps? What did you do?
So again, backing up, when people started coming up to me saying, dude, you look like Bruce, you need to do something, I really didn't know what to do. So I was actually kind of fortunate, because the guy that was living next door to me was a photographer for the government. Oh. And when I say photographer, he was a big shot in the government. Like, he worked down in the White House,
oh, wow.
Down on the Capitol building. So he was around all these dignitaries, presidents, celebs. So he even said that I looked like Bruce Willis. Somehow we struck up a conversation about that. And then he kind of mentioned, asked me if I'd be interested in coming down to his studio down in D.C. And he said, listen, we'll shoot some, get you some headshots made up, and, we'll let the government pay for it. So I'm like, that works for me, because at the time back then, I didn't have a whole lot of money. It was perfect. So anyway, I got the headshots made up and got into the phone book. Not too many people, not too many of the younger people know what that is. But
right.
Got into the phone book and found a couple of like modeling agencies, and we had one big casting director in Baltimore.
Okay.
And I'm in between DC and Baltimore.
Okay.
So anyway, I found this lady. Her name was Pat Moran Casting. So I mailed her a headshot, and I mailed this modeling agency a headshot. And I didn't hear anything for a while. I mean, it took several months. It might have been a year. And then I got a call from a lady at the modeling agency. She called me up. She's like, "Oh my gosh, where are you? And are you available for a audition?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm available. What film? Unbreakable." So the film Unbreakable. So this was in 2000. So again, it took me about a year to finally get a phone call, and I did. And so, I went up to Philadelphia with this agent and auditioned for the film Unbreakable. I didn't get the role.
What was the role? What was the role?
The role was to stand in photo double for Bruce Willis. So I was just super excited to finally, somebody was taking notice and paying attention. And anyway, when I got there, I really didn't know what to expect because I've never been to an audition before. So I thought that they just wanted to look at me just to see if I looked like Bruce, maybe our measurements or whatever are similar. So it was a little bit more than that where, when I got there, I mean, the waiting room was packed because this casting director, Mike Lemon Casting was the name of the company. They had several people there that were there. Some of them were there for the film Unbreakable. Some of them were there for commercials or whatever else that they were also casting for. So I just never forget sitting there. I mean, the place was packed and I was extremely nervous. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. So I just kind of sat there like this and peeping back and forth. And this one guy to my right, he kept staring at me. So he gets up kind of nonchalantly and walks over to the water cooler, comes back. And then he just finally said, "Look, man, I don't mean to keep staring at you." He said, "But your profile is spot on to Bruce Willis." And I said, "Oh, okay. All right." Well, I was feeling pretty good at that point, because not only was he staring, but there was other people that kept looking at me like, why is they're probably thinking, why is he here? So anyway, he says, "Listen, this lady that you're here to see, her name's Diane Heary, I think her name was." He said that I'm good friends with her. I do a lot of voiceover work for her, and I'm here to actually do a commercial with her. He said, "But I got an idea for you, you and I." He said, "I do these funny car commercials, and here's my card. I'm interested in doing a commercial if you are. Give me a call." And so I took his card and, kind of put it in my pocket. And then my name got called to go back to see the casting director. So anyway, I got back there. She hands me a script, and I'm like, "Oh, man." Listen, you know how it is, man. It's, I've never been in front of a camera before. I mean, she hands a script to me. I mean, it was something brief, but still it was intimidating, especially having that lens stare at you. So, I read for her and she said, "All right, well, thanks a lot for coming in." Just short and sweet like that. And I said, "Well, what happens after this? I mean, are you guys going to call me or how does this work?" She said, "If we're interested, we'll call you." I said, "All right, cool." So I didn't leave there cocky. I left there feeling pretty confident that maybe I'll get the part. But I never got a phone call.
The part, you mean the stand-in situation?
Correct. I never got a call from anybody saying they were interested. The part that Bruce Willis, I don't know if you saw Unbreakable, but they go back in time as and they needed a younger Bruce Willis for the film. So, it was a small part. They probably could have worked with me a little bit to get me prepared for it. But never got a phone call. So, that was kind of like my first taste of rejection and it didn't feel good. But about a year later, I get a phone call from this guy that gave me his business card. and his name is Joel Gibbs. So he calls me up and he said, "Hey, Eric, do you remember me?" And I said, "Yeah, I never forgot you." And he says, "Well, we'd like to have you come up." Again, they do these funny car commercials in this area of New Jersey, Cherry Hill, I think it was, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And everybody in the area knows them because they're like a spinoff of like Dan Aykroyd and Steve Martin with the Wild and Crazy Guys. So just silly car commercials. And they did a lot of spoofs with other lookalike, celebrity lookalikes. So anyway, I go up to Philly, and they actually have a young kid commercials about the Sixth Sense. So it was a Sixth Sense themed commercial, which was really cool. So I get up there. They have a boy that looks just like the kid in the Sixth Sense, and actually he was supposed to double for Haley Joel Osment for that movie, and some contract stuff fell through, so he didn't get the part. So both of us, hoping to get into a Bruce Willis movie, well, we didn't make it, but we did get this commercial. So we shot this commercial, and it was a lot of fun. And it was that scene where, the boy's hiding underneath of his covers, and you got to tell the doctor what his secret is. And so they shot me profile and some over the shoulder shots, and maybe a wide shot. We had a great time, put this thing together. And then, a few months down the road, that it aired on TV in that area. Joel gets a call from that casting director that he's good friends with, that I went in to audition in front of. And she says, "Joel, how did you get Bruce Willis in your commercial?" So he was just like flipping out, like, "Listen, that's Eric, the guy that you passed over for your movie Unbreakable."